What's going on, you guys? I'm at the Steptoe Mine today, and there's two parts to this mine. This is the main section. There's a couple ore bins, a cabin, the buildings, and an incline shaft. And then up this hill is the second part of the mine operation. Here's an old cabin, but this is where one of the miners lived, maybe two. Very small cabin, but this wasn't a huge operation by any means.
The Steptoe Mine sits just outside of Ely, Nevada, once part of one of the biggest copper and gold operations in the state. Back in the early 1900s, this whole valley came alive with mining. The Steptoe Mine was one of the first claims developed before the huge open pit operations at Ruth and Gilmore took over. Copper, gold, and a bit of silver came out of these hills, enough to spark a rush that built smelters at McGill and turned Ely into a major mining town. When the larger open pit operations took over, underground operations like Steptoe closed down.
This was a test pit. Just a couple old cans and nothing else. There's these two ore bins adjacent to each other, and I don't know why they would do that. The first one is a double chute, and this is a triple chute. Let me know. I wonder if they had maybe like an ore cart track running from that one to that one if there was an overproduction and the first one filled up. Maybe they fill up the second one and then just squeeze the truck by that one or this one, depending on which one they're picking up ore from. A lot of work went into these rock walls just to support the foundation because they built their buildings all on this waste rock, which I think that's a hoist house. A little bit of material in the ore bin. Yeah, I could see where the equipment would have stood. They had the foundations for that. And then the incline, it's right there. Let's see, is it still open? I bet it is open. We're in rural Nevada today, so there's just not a whole lot. Oh my gosh, that would be insane. So this winch cable you see, somebody rigged it up to get into this mine, and it goes at this straight incline. So someone was crazy enough to climb down this. You could do it. I bet you this is pretty secure, you know. You could probably climb up it just fine and get back. I just wouldn't advise doing it, especially alone. But it's a straight drop, and it has to be a massive mine down there. Only if I was with someone else. So this is kind of an overview. That's the mine. And then the hoist house, and then an equipment room right there, workshop. Couple buildings we missed down below we'll check out. This is another mine, but it doesn't go anywhere. It just dead ends. I bet you it connected at one time to the main haulage, but it's all gone now. Now it's just a snake den. Unfortunately, they really didn't leave that much behind. These are just empty buildings. There's the hoist house looking adjacent. Now you see what they did for this mine is that's that winch cable that goes into the mine. So they rigged it up. This is the tie down point. So if you trust that, which it's not really moving anywhere, they rigged it up all around this house. So the only way for this to fail is if it frailed or this whole cabin disappeared. So that's it. I guess it's safe enough. Wow. It's a pack rat's nest now. Everything's gone. This whole roof's collapsed in, the walls are gone. Next building to have a look at is this green one. I wonder if this is where the miners lived, like a bunkhouse. Kind of looks like it. That would have been one individual room. Either a bunkhouse or a work area. Now, upon further inspection, seeing this entry, this was a work area. Moving down, there's two buildings. They're both kind of semi-underground. I think this was a storage room, probably dynamite. And actually, that's pretty thick walls. I don't know. Either one was a dynamite. One way to tell if it's dynamite or not is check out how thick the walls are. For this one, I can guarantee you it was a dynamite storage. That's a couple 2.5 feet thick. And then going in, it's all collapsed. But the walls, they reinforced them. We're gonna go see the side operation now. That's it for this main spot. So you had the cabin next to the Suzuki, as you could see. Then right there's another production building. Looking over to ore bins, dynamite storage, some sort of furnace building. Up top is a hoist and a workshop. And all the others. Now we're gonna head up the hill and keep exploring. So here's the second extension of the mine. There wasn't a whole lot. Right there was a platform, an ore bin, and a second one. We'll have a look at the bottom in a second. And then an incline shaft. This was the main mine for the second part, and it's all collapsed in. This is maybe 20 feet deep, and then it gets all plugged up. There's the two ore bins. And walking along, they would have had ore cart tracks, and it would drop off for all the waste rock. So the rock that was no good, they weren't going to bring it to the mill for processing. They'd shove it all on this. They'd have the ore cart tracks coming in. The good ore they wanted to use sits in the ore bins. It's all just remains now. All right, let's get back to the Suzuki. I'm assuming probably a cabin. This is where they lived. And it's all the same operation. But from day to day, I bet it was just the same miners working in the same extensions. So these ore bins used wooden gates. I'm used to seeing metal ones. It's just such a humongous ore bin. Those are the two ore bins, really all that remains. So we're gonna keep going because there's one more remnant before we call that it for Steptoe. So this is the third part of the Steptoe Mine, about a quarter mile from the two ore bins. And it's the smallest section. All we had was one building. Even going into the building, it's all decayed and empty. That's all. Two doors over there to bring equipment in. So the one building, that was a water storage right next to the incline. which there's 2 inclines. So check this one out. So that's it. This was really just a lone mine operation because there's no other operations in this mountainside, if you could believe that. None. Now, there's a couple over there on those adjacent mountains, but when it comes to this one, this is it. It was just a lonely mine operation that really wasn't too significant. So with that being said, I'm going to get back into Suzuki and keep on going. We're traveling, just getting started. Stay tuned, and thank you for watching.